And this is how you can create a cinematic scene like Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 using only basic footages in After Effects. All the assets and the final After Effects project file are available in the description for you to download. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel. Now, let's get started. Let's start with a new composition set to 24 frames per second with a duration of about 34 frames. To prepare for this shot, we'll need a post-explosion tunnel background, the character Ryu, 2 separate smoke layers, and the remaining energy beam frames. First, let's keyframe the position property of the background to give it a subtle movement. Then, we'll sync Ryu's movement with the background by parenting his layer to the background. Similarly, for Smoke Layer 2, we'll animate it to slide in the same direction as the background. To match the original anime, however, we'll animate Smoke Layer 1 to move in the opposite direction, creating a great sense of parallax. With the motion set, let's start styling. First, on the background layer, apply Motion Tile to clean up any empty edges caused by the camera movement. For Smoke Layer 2, use Roughen Edges to organic up the rough borders. Add a Gaussian blur of about 15 to soften it, and finally, apply a subtle glow using Deep Glow with an exposure of just 0.05. Then, lower the layer's opacity to 80%. Copy all these effects and paste them onto Smoke Layer 1. Since the top edge of Smoke Layer 1 is slightly cut off, apply Motion Tile first to fix the edge before pasting the rest of the effects. Next up is the energy beam. First, duplicate the beam layer and rename the bottom one to keep things organized. On this lower layer, apply distance gradation to create a nice color fall off around the edges, and add deep glow to expand the lighting. Open the opacity and set 2 keyframes fading from 30% down to 5% over the timeline, then switch the blending mode to add. For the main beam layer on top, clean up the textures using Roughen Edges, and then apply a vivid outer aura using the Star Glow effect. You can reference my exact settings on the screen. For the color preset, switch it to a solid color for easier control. Finally, polish it off with a standard glow stacked with deep glow. Next, let's create a new blue, solid, matching the background to generate an ambient haze. Place it beneath the energy beam layers and use the pen tool to draw a mask like this, with a mask feather of about 700 pixels. Add a noise effect at around 5% to give the smoke some cinematic grit, and then smooth it out slightly with a touch of fastbox blur. Open the opacity and keyframe it to drop from 90% down to around 70%. To add more depth, duplicate this solid, change its blending mode to overlay, and crank up the noise by another 5%. Duplicate it once more, delete the old mask, and draw a new mask at the bottom of the frame to make the haze look thicker at the base. Feel free to tweak the other parameters to fit your taste. Right now, you might notice that the burn marks on the background are being heavily washed out by the smoke layers. Let's fix this by duplicating the background layer and placing it directly on top of the smoke. Draw a mask around the burned area with a mask feather of 50 and drop the starting opacity to 10%, keyframing it up to 30% as the blast intensifies. Clear any unused effects on this layer and use curves to punch up its brightness. To make it sit naturally behind the dust, set its track matte to the smoke layer below and toggle it to inverted matte. Make sure to toggle the visibility of the smoke layer back on, as parenting it will hide it by default. Using this exact same technique, duplicate the layer once more to align the lighting around Ryu's feet. Let's add one more foreground smoke layer for extra dynamic detail, following the same workflow. Finally, create an adjustment layer on top to simulate the intense heat distortion warping the air after the blast. We'll use the turbulent displace effect for this. By keyframing the amount and size values, you can easily generate a realistic heat wave distortion just like this. All right, let's check out the final result. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.